Well, hello everybody. Let me know if you can hear me. I'll go inside the pond in a minute. Fish out, I should say. And we shall convene from there. It's a bit cold outside today. The pond is at 22 or 20, yeah, 22 Celsius. But every day I'm dropping now by zero point 0.2 of a degree. So uh, good. So can you hear me? Let me know. If you guys are on there, let me know if you can hear me. The feeder, smoke on the water. Any deep purple fans, that will sort of age you right away. Anyhow, feeder is just going out, going off. Fish, they start to destroy the food as soon as they're coming out, as you can see. Um, oh, that's good. Thanks, Glenn. I can hear me. I've got my headphones on. I tried to nick Dylan's AirPods, but he wouldn't let me use them, so I have to go back to this wired thing. I can't afford AirPods. There's only an 18-year-old could afford AirPods in that way. So the feeder's going off. They're getting fed. Thank you, Anthony. They're getting fed kilo of food a day. So that's how much food they're eating. And as you can see, the food gets destroyed. There's one or two bits. The skimmer is over there, so it has to make a long journey. And I do get, like, end of the day, probably a little, probably about 20 grains pellets in the drum because fish chewing and stuff flying. But generally, they're eating all of the food. I've sort of now started mixing in color food, and the lights are on, although I only got one on. One is off and one is on. These are 200 watts um, LED lights. I had people message me about it asking, and I didn't really want to give it away yet. I wanted to wait for the right time to talk about them. And then I've only been using them, I think this is the third week that they've been on. And basically, I got two of these lights, as you can see. So two are on most of the day, and then in the evening I knock one off because the fish tend to congregate more on this side because of the feeder. So the light, they get bathed in the light, as it were, in that way. So I don't really need two lights in a day. And then also with it being a south-facing pond, I do get a lot of sunlight on the pond, although at this point, as you can see, they're closed up. Everything is closed, and if you're from the UK watching this, or England, you would know that we are in lockdown. Well, the UK, I guess, part of it. Wales come out soon, I think the 9th. The Wales come out. I'm not sure what Scotland's doing, but at least England is in lockdown till the 2nd of December. Yeah, so this Momentaro Orgon, um, I think somebody's asking about my phone. Can you hear okay? Let me know if you can hear or if you can see. Shall I do it this way? Let me just see. Let me change the orientation. Where is that? No, it is open. All right, let's see. Does that make things better? Let me know. If I go on to landscape rather than portrait mode, um, let me know. Is that better? Um, let me know if this way is fine or the other way. This is landscape. Yeah, so I'm at 22 Celsius for those who are just asking. If you had logged in earlier, you'd have known that. And so the arrow is just knocking itself off now. I use recycle arrow and at the moment I'm getting 6 to 7 liters of water, RO water, which is recycled water, because I'm on a water meter and I don't believe you should be wasting water anyways. If you're gonna run traditional RO, it's gonna waste a lot of water. So, oh, okay, it's still streaming in portrait. Okay, all right. So I guess it doesn't matter if I have it landscape or portrait; it still will stream in one way. So I'll just go back this way then. Anyhow, so this yami there, it's a Momotaro fish, and this is just coming into Yonsai. So it was born July 2017, and yeah, so it's probably 78, maybe 79, could possibly 80 centimeters at Yonsai. That's a possibility there on a Momotaro fish. This is a Takigawa coming into Yonsai. That's about 76 centimeters. Yonsai there. This is Dylan's little fish. I think it's a Momotaro he got from Koi Water Barn. Dylan, if you watch these videos, you know who Dylan is. And Stephen and Anthony, I don't know if you're on here, but that's the pines. If you're interested in Japanese pine, this is a black pine and one's a red pine. And if you'll just look up on your Facebook Wakai Pines, and Stephen or Anthony could sort you out some, ship it straight to your house, and you could have some Japanese pines. He connected them pine cones from in one of our trips in Japan, and last year we collected some at Mr. Takigawa's place as well. So he's got some pines. If you want to order some from Stephen and Anthony, feel free to look up Wakai Pine. So as you can see, there's a lot of smoke on the water, nod to Deep Purple there. But I am slowly decreasing the temperatures. But now is the time to grow them. So if money allows you to grow your fish till December, will be great. This is the time you could push them. They're not really focusing on developing any eggs at this point. Now it's just growth to grow. So the longer you can push them through the winter, if you can afford it, it's the best time to grow them. So I'm going to go now, I'm going to drop down to 21 and feed them all the way till the end of November at 21. I was at, oh, have a look at this guy here. I don't know if you can see them now. Let me know if you can see that. That one's probably about 51, 52 centimeters. But there's about 6 of them here, and they clean the pond floor. That's why the pond floor looks so clean. You can see how big they are. So I'll be feeding all the way through till probably first week, second week of December. In that way, they're going to go on to some Sake Hikari deep red and white in that way, and you can see them. That's you can see that pleco just below that Sakai. That's a Sakai fish farm fish there, and yeah. That Asagi is for sale if anybody is interested, but it wouldn't be cheap. So if you don't like spending lots of money on fish, don't bother asking, because it's the Okawa #1. You might have seen it in the my last Japan video. You might have seen it there. It was their #1 from their farm. That's the Goshiki from Takigawa, and that's doing really well. I don't know what size that is. Goshikis are not notoriously big growers. And the parent of that is, she's 6-7 years old and she's 78 centimeters. So I don't expect this to get massive. Goshiki is not really about growing size, but about keeping that Benny plate clear, which so far most of it is clear. There's only a tiny spot on one of them there. That's a Takigawa as well that's coming. That's a gorgeous fish I picked up from Mike at Sansai last year. Now coming into Yonsai, it'd be about 76. Probably when I finish feeding, she'll be Yonsai at 76, 78, something like that. Most of my fish tend to be Yonsai, upper 70s. Some do cross the line to 80, but generally upper 70s. This is that Momotaro Orgon that I said to you. Now this is genuinely born July 2017, and it's last time I measured it, which was back in June this year, it was 75, 76 centimeters at Sansai. So at Yonsai, it's probably close. I mean, it's a massive fish. It's hard to tell, really, but Yeah, it will be close to 80 centimeters, or at least upper limits of 17 that way. So have you got any questions? Fire them away. I'm gonna go now in my fish house, sort of escape this cold weather, as it were. There's my Takigawa Sanki that I bought last year while I was in Japan this time. And that's now coming into Yonsai as well. I've got a few fish in Japan that's coming out of the mud, and so as pictures appear of them in video and I see them, that's what I'm waiting for. So it's a busy time for breeders and dealers and people there. Everybody wants to see their fish and things like that. So yeah, let's just make our way over to the fish house. I'll shut this off there. There's fireworks going off all over the place here. It's a dark night, nice dark night in Leicester, so I'm not sure. So we're going in the infamous Andy Finch chair. Andy, I'm using your chair if you're watching this. Andy's probably sleeping now. He's in bed normally, Mr. Finch, by 7:30 p.m. wrapped up with his hot water bottle. So yeah, if you got any questions, fire them away. My KH, I just measured the KH, and it's probably about 10 milligrams, which 17 milligrams is a KH of 1. So I run the pond just below 1 kh, or half a kh if that really. At the moment the pH is just on 7, bang on 7. I expect it to drop a little bit, always drop in the night time, and then the Dawson pump will, sorry, not Dawson pump, the relay would open the header tank and let my bicarb solution in to keep the pH where I've set it via my alpha there. So let's see if we got some questions. Hello, Mr. Zimmerman. How are you? I hope you guys enduring or enjoying your election in North Carolina. I'm not sure if Mr. Trump won that already. I don't know if Sleepy Joe did or Mr. Trump did. I don't know. But we'll try to stay away from those things. So let me see what you say, Mr. Zimmerman. What kind of growth are you seeing, for example, a Takigawa Sanki that is now Sansai? So that Takigawa Sanki, Steve, it's a difficult one because I bought it as male. And you would know that male fish sometimes, not always, they don't grow as well. But it was a cheap male. It was a perfect male Sanki. Well, perfect Sanki, sorry. And it was bought as male and priced as male, so it was too cheap. I think it cost me more to ship the thing and pay the VAT on it. But it's grown. I think it's probably now Sansai, and it's a male, by the way, so don't put it at the female level. So I think it will be probably 68 centimeters that way. But if you look at the Takigawa female that is now coming into Yonsai, that is probably 78 centimeters. So yeah, I expect most of my Gosanki female to sort of go, I expect them really around Yonsai to be upper 70s. I've had a couple hit 80 centimeters at Yonsai. I've never had one hit 89. As we saw at Kentaro's Sakai Fish Farm. He had a Yonsai this year, Sanki as well, beast of a thing, that came in at 89 centimeters. Yes, I do measure. I'm saying probably now because I'm not measuring right now. So that's why it's probably, because once I start trimming the temperatures down more and I get to, the fish wouldn't grow, no matter what you do, the fish wouldn't grow under 18 Celsius. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, but the fish wouldn't grow in 18 Celsius water. So once I sort of get down to 20, I would start to measure one or two of them. I really was hoping to have Steve and Anthony with me, so they can help me do a measure. And Anthony's very good at taking proper koi pictures. You could see my window brush and my getting rid of cobwebs from the pond brush. Yeah, so Anthony is very good at taking pictures. So this year I'd probably cool them down, and I'm not sure if I would bother taking them out if it's just me. There are a lot of big fish in there. It's probably hard to tell from the camera, but You know, one of the Takigawa in there. She's now 5 year old, and she was in June 86 centimeters. So I imagine there will be some growth in that, whether it be 2 centimeters or three. So it'll be upper 80 coming to 90, and I don't really want to sort of mess with a fish that size myself, risk of damaging it just so I can measure it. I'm sure you know what I mean. You've probably been there yourself. So if I get the koi guys down, unfortunately in England, Steve, we are in a forced lockdown. Although it's not as tight as the beginning of the year, but it is a lockdown, so we can't travel. It's one of those things. I mean, schools and colleges, universities are on, and essential key workers, things like that. So I can't get the boys down to help me and then do a video with it. So um, how long does the boiler stay on for? I don't know. I don't know really. How long is the here you go. Yeah, I twice a year, probably for koi shows is when I measure. Um, you know, I've seen guys for the sake of finding out how big the fish has grown, take the fish out, jump out of the bowl, damage fish. There's no point in doing that. You know, there's a lot of money and work and skill goes into keep these things in pristine condition, as you know. And for the sake of waiting for a month or two when the boys come down, and we make a day of it in the UK, Steve. We sort of, they'll come down, stay the night in a hotel. I got a hotel right next, further down the road from me. They'll stay there. We'll come, take some pictures, do a video, document the fish, then go out for some food, and I'll probably have a couple more hobbyists will come and join us in the day, and then we'll all go out for food together and enjoy that time. So that's what we tend to do in the UK. I don't know what you guys do in the US, but that's how we do it. So um, that's really our plan. Let me see now. Somebody was asking me about boiler. I don't know the cost of boiler. I'm not sure. I keep that sort of. My wife pays the bill, and then if she's, but that's why we cover the pond. So um, so far I'm able to afford that cost. So I can't tell you because my pond's big. I don't know how big your pond is. Mine is 6,500 imperial gallons. I'm turning over the pond probably twice an hour. Um, you know, there's so many variables. I got shower. It's the only filter I've got is a shower. So if you're going to compare apples for apples, as it were, it's not good to compare with my pond because my pond is ran at such a high spec thing that no other pond that I know of this size runs at this sort of intensity. And like I said, I'm feeding a kilo of food a day. Um, it may not sound a lot, but if you ever weigh a kilo of koi food in a container, then you would know. So um, so every 3 or 4 days, I'm filling up the feeder as it is. Well, I send Dylan. If you see the videos, I send Dylan walking along the pond wall. Now he's a pro at it. Now I don't even need to ask him. I give him a fiver a week, and I say make sure the feeder is filled up. I do the mixing, and he does the filling. And like I said, now I've moved over from. I started to add color food in as I'm dropping temperatures, and once the temperature sort of settles around 19 Celsius, it will be color food and a low protein pellet with that color food. So something like a wheat, a sake balance food, or I'm not really a wheat germ feeder in that way, but I do have a bag that was given to me, so I may use that bag of food up. I don't want to mention what food it is because I've never used it, and I don't want people buying it because I said I'm going to try it. Just somebody gave it to me to say, tell me what you think. So I'll put it in, and I'll tell them what I think. If it's no good, it goes into the bamboo, the pellets, or I feed the rabbits with it or something. The fish are too precious to just feed any old food in that way. So let me see if I missed any more questions. I'm sorry. Um, Anthony, I don't know. I don't know. £250 a month? I don't know if it'll be that high. That sounds madness. I don't know. Sorry. Can't help you on that. Um, my pond is covered, and it's gas, not electric. If it's electric, you'll probably put 700 a month, but it's only gas in that way. So, and we've been fortunate this year. If you're in the Leicester area or certainly the Midlands area, we've had some milder weather. It's only just seemed the last week it's got a little bit cold in the evening. So I had frost on the car this morning. I don't know if anybody else had frost on their car, but I had frost as well on my car. So let me see. Okay. Yeah, so I don't know what you guys' plans are for your lockdown winter experience. It's been a while since I did a live. Did everybody catch the Koi water ban video? Let me know if you caught that video I did with Andy Baker and those guys. Me, Andy Baker, Dylan, and his nephew Dan. We were at the Koi water ban filming. That was the last video I did at the Koi water ban there. And we were filming mainly the Sakai fish. Although they have Isa and Omasaku shirros, and I think they also had some Beppu fish, but the fish that interested me was the Sakai fish. So does does Arrow only work? It's fading away. Does Arrow only work better if your pond is heated? No, Arrow could work both in cold and warm, but if you have Arrow coming from a tap water, this is where you need to pay attention. So if it's coming from a tap water, it's going to be cold source Arrow. So cold water, the molecules in the water, I'm sure you'll notice as you all went to school. I didn't. In Trinidad, we sat under a mango tree. But you know the molecules in colder water don't expand as much. So if you put in through cold water through an Arrow system, you don't get as much water out per squeeze on a Arrow thing. Whereas I'm using recycle Arrow, so the water is 22 Celsius. That's quite warm, and it's going through the Arrow membranes recycled. So which means I'm getting 6.5 liters per minute of pure Arrow water. So and like I say to most people, the reason why I run Arrow is twofold. A, to stop the swings and get the parameters bang on. And then secondly is to save on water bills, because I'm on a water meter. And I should be getting my water bill soon, because November time is the time that they do it. So that's the way. Anthony Jackson. I thought you were Anthony Joshua then, the boxer. I was slightly disappointed. All right. I don't have a protein skimmer. I'm sorry. Koi Waterban video, come here. Yeah, Shakespeare, did you win? I can't remember who won the Momotaro competition. I can't remember the names, but they were good little fish, and I think the barn has a few left. Hit up Keith, not physically hit him up, but hit him up, call him, and let him know that you're interested. I'm sure he would send them to you. And the barn's always willing to do a deal. Cash is king with the barn, you know. So if you sort of connect with Keith, he would let you know what he can do with fish. Now's the time you get a deal, because all the dealers want to empty their pond and wash them out, ready for new shipments coming in. I see Kitsu Koi got some fish coming in from Mike from South Japan, and then also from, he's got some Kraken Yamabuki thingies and something else that are cheap, 300-400 pounds. So give Kitsukoi a call, tell him you've spoken to me on a live, and I mentioned he's got a shipment of fish in. And if you're after a nice yami, he's got some nice yami there, not Momotaro ones like you saw in the pond there. They were when I bought a Tosa, it was expensive. So yeah, so a lot of the dealers are bringing in fish. Obviously they can't fly because of coronavirus. So there you go. What is the largest koi you've seen? Depends. In the UK, I think it would have been James Carter's fish that won jumbo, which was an organ of some sort at the national, and I think that's 100 centimeters. But in Japan, I've seen them 110, 115. If you have not seen, if you're just joining the stream or Rastakoi and you've not seen the videos I've done, have a look and you'll be able to see more about sort of like the fish. You'll see the fish that I've seen at shows, big shows and things like that. So yeah, I've seen them big, huge fish in Japan, but big it needs to have the nice skin as well and look youthful. You know, once a fish get big, like 90 centimeters and stuff, no one really cares about the pattern so much. You know, the pattern is like no one talks about it. You just talk about the presence of the fish and how big it is. And I mean, obviously, if it's a perfect four step or a perfect tancho or perfect whatever your version of perfect is, people love it. But no one talks about once you start putting big fish in front of you. When I was at Sakai Fish Farm this time last year, yeah, it would be around now. I was at Kentro's farm and I was seeing some of his huge fish, and not one of them I looked at them because of the pattern. They were just majestic creatures, really. So they're big. I've seen them and they're massive fish in the area. Can you talk more about pH levels? I keep the water soft because all the fish in South Japan, where my fish come from, and certainly Japanese water tend to be soft. The fish are sort of better off in that sort of environment of a neutral pH. Fish in our water, you'd still get shimmies, so it's not to stop shimmies because you would still get, in Japan they still have shimmies. So if anybody says you run RO, you don't get shimmies, it's not exactly true. It can prevent it because the higher the KH is and the more it affects the skin of the fish, then you could get some issues there. But I tend to run a KH of, I'll use milligrams because I can't say 1 or 2 because mine is below 1, so it's about 10 milligrams. It just shocks me that some people would run their KH at 6 and they buffer to keep it at 6 and 8. That's just ridiculous. I don't know why you would do that. If you got soft water, you're blessed. You know, if out of your tap your KH is low and you've got like almost RO water with a pH of, I mean my pH generally I run it at and right now it's at 7, but I've kept my pH in this pond down to 6.85, and when you put a drop in, it pretty much turns straight away. Fish were fine, fish felt fine, everything was great. But you know, I'm home because of lockdown, so I'm not traveling, so I'm here to keep my eye on it in that way. And then I've got the machines that sort of is calibrated and checks it and stuff like that. So, but you got to remember on a scale, when you put higher pH into next to ammonia, you should know that ammonia becomes more deadly and toxic to a fish the higher the pH. So the neutral the pH there would be a lot better to run a neutral pH in that way. So hopefully that makes sense to you, whoever asked about the pH and the KH in that way. Yes, funny enough, I don't know if you've heard, this is Matt H. I don't know if you've heard of a fish called discus. So I kept discus for many years. In fact, I only closed the tank down last week. 2 weeks ago. And in there, I had a 0 KH. And I use Bacteria House in my sump to filter the tank. And I had no ammonia, no nitrite, nothing like that. Same here. At the moment, I've got a KH of, like I said, 10 milligrams, which is 17 milligrams is a KH of 1. So I'm running 10 milligrams, so it's below 1. And again, no reading. I use my Palin test. Where the Palin testing? This thing, yeah. So I use my Palin test, and if I check ammonia and I check nitrite, all 0. In fact, the ammonia is so low, the Palin test only puts an arrow, which means it's unreadable. And bear in mind, I'm feeding a kilo of sake hikari food a day. So 7 days is 7 kilos of food, and I get a 0 ammonia and 0 nitrite. So yes, the bacteria will be affected for a short moment, but they do adapt and work because I've seen it myself. I've not read it in a book anywhere, but I've seen it in my discus tanks and I've seen it in this koi pond. So all them fish you saw at the beginning of the video while I was by the pond, front of the pond with the door open, they are thriving in a KH of 10 milligrams. If I put a drop in, the drop turns yellow instantly. That's how I run the pond. But I got machines to do it, and I've done it for many years. And this is part of my background of flying to Japan, and also sort of following the teachings, as it were, of Michael Snaden in that way. And he's sort of my teacher in that way. Only in koi and cars. Other than that, that's it. So let me see. There's another question. If you flow through water, then you always replenishing. Yes, Steve. As the KH drops in the pond, let me see if I can turn this camera around for you. Let me just see. Yeah. Okay, so as there you go. Oh, another turn. So that's the, it's just dosing now. So it's, the machine's on letting some fluid from there into the pond. So it will climb a little bit and then it will come back down and settle. So at the moment it's doing a seesaw effect. But this is what controls the pH with the parameters it's set. And when it goes to, let's just say it goes to a low pH, let me simulate it here. So if it goes to a low pH, like that's probably the actual pH now. Once it reaches down to 6.96, it will trigger this tank here, solenoid, which would open up this tank here, and in there you can see the white residue. I should clean that before I come, but anyhow, in there is bicarbonate, and that sort of trickles into the pond and replenishes the KH. So in a sense, it prevents a crash. But if you know anything, if you know anything about koi ponds and pH, they don't crash overnight. A crash don't happen suddenly. You wouldn't all of a sudden, oh no, my fish had died, it's crashed. You wouldn't get that. It would take days for a system to crash. And now you got to be careful, especially when you cover your ponds and you got condensation dripping into the ponds. That's where your KH could suddenly be sucked out. So especially for those of you who cover in your ponds with polycarbs and you don't have any space to let my polycarb that I cover my pond is slanted, and then on the end it sort of drips outside the pond. So any condensation on the side walls and on the roof runs away from the pond, because it could suddenly dump a load of condensation in the pond with 0 KH and change things quickly. So you've got to be careful during winter with condensation and your pH. You've got to monitor it stronger during winter. But yes, Steve, going back to your question, with flow through and all those things, I do have, the KH does get replenished, but not a lot. The most I would run this pond is a KH of 15 milligrams, and like I said, 17 milligrams is a KH of 1. So I tend to run it just below 1 in that way. And the fish are sound, the fish are fine. When I was at the koi farms, Takigawa, I figured they're all in my head, Ueno, other places, and I checked their KH in their ponds and stuff like that. They've hardly got any in their ponds, I was at Momotaro. I didn't get to check theirs because that was my first time visiting Japan, and I was sort of like in awe. And Mike took me straight to Momotaro Koi Farm, my first ever koi farm in Japan. So I wasn't really in the frame of mind to start taking water samples, as it were. So, but speaking to Daisuke, I think they run a KH of 7, a pH of 7, and they tend to use a lot of well water in that way. So, let's see what you're saying there, Steve. Oops. You gotta forgive me because this thing deletes it quickly. US hobbyists think that they need to keep the KH high or the nitrifying bacteria will die, but my point was that if you flow water through, you provide enough KH for knife recreation. You're 100% right, Steve. If any US hobbyists question you, tell them the Rastaman said you're right, and Mike Snaden says you're right. And like you can see, Steve, I'll show you now. I said it was swinging a bit up and down because it was dosing. There you go. That's the pH in the pond, 6.99. And the KH, if I had time to check it, I can't test it holding a phone and do it. If I had Dylan with me, I could do it. But the KH on this would just be 10 milligrams. And to repeat myself, 17 is a KH of 1. So, moving house. Oh, planning another pond bill. Don't do it. Go on a holiday instead. Well, actually, you can't go nowhere, aren't you? Anthony Wayne, moving house or planning another pond bill. Going for a profi drum combi and maybe a shower. What's your thoughts on running a oh, what? Is that what you said, Anthony? Moving house. Da, 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 da. What's your thoughts on running a shower? Never run a shower. Don't ever run a shower. No, I'm just kidding. That's all I run. I run only a shower. I've got a drum and a shower. The shower I run is, let me see if I can show you. It's a beast. It's like coffins line up. Steve Zimmerman runs showers. I guess mine's a bit covered now because I get splash on there. But I run a that shower there, which is a double. So it's a 2 meter double stainless steel shower, and there's 400 kilograms of Baki House media. The genuine Momotaro stuff. I don't use anything else. I don't use any other media, so don't ask about other medias. I wouldn't comment on them. So the other media I would use and the only media I think you should use, save your money and buy the Baki House media. But drums and shower are the way. Mike Snaden, by the way, some of you may not know Mike Snaden, but Mike sort of pioneered the whole drum and shower thing. I know a lot of people in the UK and indeed the US use drum and showers like it's standard, but it was Mike Snaden who came up with that system. So drum and showers for me are the way forward. I know a lot of people put drum showers or drum move-in bed showers. For me, drum and showers are fine. I had the room and I was going to put a Japanese mat in chamber, but I went for Recycle RO to save on the water bill. Having done Recycle RO, that's the best thing I have ever done, because a Recycle RO is putting 6 liters of water back in the pond, and it takes everything out, everything. Ammonia, nitrate, everything out. So it's cleaning the water, almost like ozone. If any of you know ozone in itself, is cleaning it that way. I don't go to Ogata. I've seen Ogata Koi Farm, but they have a different model, different type of fish. They're not my way of dealing. But I've seen the Ogata Koi Farm, and I drove right next to it with Yuji. So I'm not really I'm not against Ogata, but I wouldn't generally buy anything there. So, what does 03 mean? I don't know. Raphael Green? Showers, are they noisy? I don't know. Mine's encased in a pond room, so I've got a room built for it. So, let's see. Raphael, can I have a shout out, Dad? Who's that? Is that Dylan? Anyhow, Ozone. Oh, yeah. I don't run Ozone on my pond. But is that you, Dylan? Watching on here? If that's you, Dylan, come down here and you can help me. Yeah. No, Ozone. I don't run Ozone. I know a few guys who did, and you got to be careful with Ozone, how you run it, and things like that. But I think Recycle RO is the best way. Do you use any move-in bed? No, I don't, Neil. I don't use any move-in bed. The only move-in bed I have is the one I'm sleeping, and I ain't moving. No, I don't use any move-in bed. I'm not against move-in bed. A lot of guys in the hobby I respect have move-in bed, but it's not for me. I'm just a simple farmer. As you can see from my boots, I just run drum and shower. Simple farmer in that way. What is the best food for fish? I would say it's a sake hikari is the best food you can use. But it depends. It's not cheap. It's an expensive food, and it's all where you are in the hobby. Me getting my fish from Japan, and I'm one of the few guys that's blessed in such a way that I could fly to Japan and get my own fish and stuff like that. So, and the fish I get, they tend to go showing. So as I'm showing my fish and I'm growing jumbo fish, for me sake hikari is the best way in that sort of thing. So, yeah, Dylan is a cool kid. I don't know if he's on here. Dylan, if you're here, come. I think he's on here, and I don't know. But yeah, Dylan's a cool kid. He's a good guitar player, wicked guitar player, lead guitar player. He plays Hendrix, Guns N' Roses, Iron Maiden, anything you want on the guitar, he can play it. I used to play the guitar, that's where he got it from, but not as good as him. Trini Trav, are you a Trinidadian? Yes, I am a Trini. Trini to the bone. And just because I said Trini to the bone, you know I'm a Trini. I was meant to be in Trinidad recently, but Keith Rowley locked up the place, so the man locked up the country, so I can't go there. Anyways, let me speak English so everybody understand me. What frequency do you replace your water? I don't really replace the water again because I run recycle RO. The whole pond goes through the recycle RO, so less the need for any trickle in. So really, that's what I was saying about recycle RO. It cleans the water. It removes everything. Recycle RO. Let me show you. For those of you, maybe after we do this live stream, you could go and have a look on some of the videos. Boom. Recycle RO. So the water comes tee off of here into these two. There you go. Koi Chronicles. Tee off to these two things, and it goes through the pumps them in, first membrane, back membrane, up through meters back into the pond. So that in a nutshell is recycle RO. I know it was quick, but I've got a video that talks about recycle RO. All you got to do is after this have a look at the videos. Then can I encourage you to subscribe to the videos as well? Don't just watch them. The more you subscribe, it'll be good. Yeah, well, Anthony's trying to get Dylan. Yeah, Dylan is a good help. To be honest, a lot of the stuff he helps me with. He's good at scraping fish. He's good at netting fish. He's good at climbing up on the walls. I'm trying to teach him core, you know. The only thing, he's a picky eater. So, do you replace the filters by yourself? Of course. What filters are we talking about? I don't replace any filters. I mean the pre-membranes. The pre-membranes, you just wash them. So I've got some here. These are the old ones that's been power washed, as you can see. They're all clean, ready to go. This is a 20 micron. And then there's another one next to it, which is a 5 micron. So basically when they start blocking up, I pull them out and put a clean set in, and then I take these and I clean them. Normally a jet wash. It's an awful job to do, especially when it's cold. So you jet wash them. But I have spares, so that if it's miserable weather, I could just jump on. But at the moment, because I'm feeding a lot of food, a kilo a day, it's difficult to sort of keep clean. But once you sort of start dropping the amount you feed, then you could go for 6 weeks without having to touch the pre-filters because you're not putting a lot of food in. And when I stop feeding, I stop feeding. Sorry, Raf, I don't discuss money online. I don't know. It's probably the same price as a Boeing 747 if you want to know how much it costs to run a koi pond and build it. Ask Steve Zimmerman. Steve, you just built your pond. Steve Zimmerman's pond. If you have not seen it, go onto Facebook, type in Steve Zimmerman, and I'm sure he'll be your friend for life, and have a look at his pond. Fantastic pond in North Carolina. Steve is a slim, tall, six-pack, typical American lumberjack sort of a guy. So if you look for somebody that shape, then you would know that's Steve Zimmerman in that way. So I don't know what the recycle RO cost again. You need to, if you connect with Andy Finch of Finch Filtration Innovation something, Andy would tell you the cost, because again it's hard. It's cost based on size of your pond, based on how much water you change in, all them sort of a thing as well. So it's difficult to quantify cost. Everything is different. You know, a Range Rover would cost different to run than say Ford Focus. You know, it's both cars, but they run different costs. So you need to get your own pricing for what you want to do in that way. Hopefully that makes sense in that way. So but koi hobby is not a cheap hobby. If you're looking for a cheap hobby, then it's tree bark robin is a good one. Let's see here. Did I miss anything? Yeah, I changed the filters. I get Dylan to help me down. What ratio of waste? Ah, here you go. What ratio of waste? This is Nick Hildred. What ratio of waste reusable water does our setup kick out? Okay, so at the moment, Nick, that's a very good question. In the waste, it's getting 1.2 liters of waste for 6.5 liters of RO water. So when the RO unit is running, I'm losing per minute 1.2 liters of pond water. But at that point, it opens a solenoid valve and it lets in source water that tops it up so the pond don't drain itself in that way. So, but the RO system only runs 8 hours a day. It's on for 1 hour, off for three, on for one, off for three. When is the next time? The next time it's due to run is at midnight. So that's the next time it will be on. And in that time, it will run for an hour and it will give me 6 liters a minute. And it will throw away 1 liter, 1.2 liters in that way. So I hope that makes sense. Take out a mortgage. There you go. That's the way. Let me see. Was I missing questions? Trini, do you know of any koi varieties in the works? No, I'm not sure. I don't know what you mean. Tell about the up pipes. I've done a video on up pipes, Anthony Jackson. So if you have a look on the videos here, I talked about up pipes, how to install them, and things like that. So, but it wouldn't work without a shower, and it's got to be 4 inch, and you got to be underwater return in that way. So, hey, Mr. Koi Chronicles, I just mentioned you. If you guys don't know who Koi Chronicle is, there you go. Check him out. There you go. I was just having coffee with your mug in that way. So, any more questions? Let me know. If I can't answer it, I would pretend I know. Do the that sort of thing. So, yeah, have a look at the video. Subscribe to the channel, please, if you can do. That will be great. Create videos. I guess a lot of you enjoy watching the videos, whether it be my videos or Koi Chronicle videos or whoever videos are out there. But creators, which is what they call us, they do need subscribers. So to watch a video and not subscribes means that it's very difficult for us to do it. So if you could sort of, make sure you subscribe, that would be good. I might be looking at going onto a system called Patreon, and Patreon is designed for creators in a way to sort of help get equipment and things like that. So at the moment, I'm just me and Dylan with a camcorder in that way. So it's difficult to, koi guys are very good at buying koi, but very good at supporting other koi guys. So if you can do that, would be great. What's the best running? What's the best? You guys typing fast. Let me see. What's the best run in your shower over your pond and waterfall for using? I don't understand that. What's the best run in your shower? Anthony, rewrite that question, man. You're writing like a drunk Trinidadian. What's the best run in a shower? What's the best run in a shower over the pond? As a waterfall? Okay. I understand what you mean. I do apologize, sir. I think below below is better. The thing about having it as a waterfall is that if you have neighbors, they might complain that they hear the water all the time, and then also when the water is splashing all the time, there's a lot of ripples and you can't see the fish. My pond is like a mill pond. You can't see any ripples. You can see creases and seams of the water current moving, which is quite cool actually. So I live in Trinidad. Lucky you. Well, I don't know if you're lucky on the Keith Rowley, but I live in Trinidad. Let me see. I live in Trinidad. Can I get some good quality koi? I don't know. I don't live in Trinidad no more, man. I'm not sure. When I was in Trinidad last, I was meant to be there this year. I didn't get there at all. Yeah, the koi I've seen in Trinidad, they are koi, but they're not my sort of koi thing. I'll leave that as there. When you get back to Japan, what koi will you be looking for next? Showa maybe? Yep, you got it right. Showa is very difficult. And when we have seen a great show or Sankey, um, that's the koi to buy, you know. In my feeling, you probably heard me say it on a koi waterban video. For every good, decent Sankey or decent Showa, you could get 10 Kahakus. So I'm always, even if I have a mind on buying a Kahaku, if I see a cracking Sankey or a decent Showa, I'd buy it straight away. So that's the way I run it. Hopefully that makes sense. Let me see now. Any news on the harvest? I'm not sure. Mike is there, so I don't know. I'm sure you'd find out if you go on Rasta Koi. There's updates on that. How do you return back to the pond from a shower? Again, Anthony, there's videos. I guess you're new to this because a lot of the questions you're asking we've covered before. But I've got pipe. I can't show you now because it's pitch dark. All you just see is pitch dark and freezing. So there's pipes that return um, about a foot below the top of the water. So I don't know what that is in centimeters. Maybe 60 centimeters, 70 centimeters below the surface. And so that's how the showers return. It's via something called a spigot. So that's why the shower is in this room. I've got a fish house here, so I'm in the top half of the fish house. And the bottom half is down there with a boiler and Wi-Fi and codes and lights and all them things. So I wanted it that way because once I shut this door that I just came through in here, you could stand outside that door and you don't even hear a thing. You don't hear any noise. You don't hear any shower. You don't hear when the drum is cleaning. You don't hear when the arrow is on. You don't hear anything. So in my old house, my neighbor was a little bit noise sensitive, and if you have a neighbor like that, you know what I mean. So I built this one in that way, that I enclosed everything correctly, and it's all insulated, as you can see, so it keeps it warmish in here in that way. Well, warm enough so it don't condensate. So as you can see, there's no condensation, and in that way, that's how I do it. So hopefully that helps you all. You know, I'm not sure what to talk about. It's just this lockdown thing drives us all crazy, doesn't it? And I know for a lot of people it's difficult time, and mentally it's a difficult time as well. But at least us guys got koi pond, and you got a nutter like me who would come out in a freezing cold to do a live, so we can have a little bit of entertainment for an hour in that way. But let me encourage you, please subscribe to Rastakoi. Get me up to 3,000 subscribers. I think I'm on 2,700 and change. So I only need a couple more hundred. So if you can subscribe, share the channel when you go on there. And for those of you who've not watched the videos, when you see the video, then share the videos and ask people to subscribe, because the more subscribers I get, the more I can do, the more lives I can do, the more chats we can have. Once coronavirus is gone, we can do a day here in the summer. It'll be by invitation only, a bit like the BA First Class Lounge, by invitation only. And we can have a few guys here, put on some food and talk koi, ask questions about Japan. Yeah, I was meant to be in Japan now. I got my reminder about my hotel being booked, and lost some money because of that, but that's what it is, you know. So it's one of those things, you know. It is what it is. The whole world is going through this coronavirus thing. So, but again, let me encourage you to subscribe. Please subscribe to the channel. Because if creators, if we go on to Patreon, which is the only place you can see videos, you'd have to pay to join Patreon. But a lot of creators, and not just koi, but in everything as well, they're sort of shifting over to Patreon because people are not really subscribing and things like that. So if you koi guys want to see more koi videos for free, all you got to do is subscribe and share in that way. So If you can do that, then that will be great. So I don't know if there's any more questions. I'm getting slightly hungry. I've been training in the gym, and the gyms are closed, so now it's time to eat in that way. Mr. Alan Tate, I'll be nervous having you at my pond, Mr. Tate. You're like, yeah, it's like when the first time I had Mike, I couldn't sleep. Mike come into the pond to have Mr. Alan Tate look at my pond. I'll be nervous. Um, yes, Dylan is probably upstairs playing the guitar with his headphones on. Every time I go upstairs, it's Hendrix, Iron Maiden. He has some bands I'd never heard of, but he is a very good guitar player. It's a bit tough for him at the moment because colleges, his course in his college is he wants to do car painting. You know, when people have crashed and stuff like that. So at the moment his work is hand on, but they keep cancelling his courses because of coronavirus. So poor lad, he's at 18 years old and he can't do the things he want to do because of this. So it's one of those. What UV am I running? A UV. Amalgam UV. Um, so it's in the drum, and it's a 40-watt amalgam. I just changed the bulb this year because it had gone, and I changed it. It was quick, easy to change in that way. Yes, jerk chicken is not Trinidadian food, man. Jerk chicken is Jamaican food, but it's nice as well. So I can understand why you like it. Trini food is not. There's some Trinis on here. They'll be laughing if you if you think that way. So ask him to listen to Zach Sabbath. Well, he knows who Black Sabbath is. I guess that's a cover band. You're saying. But yeah, he's a Joe Satriani fan and a Steve Vai fan and a Jimi Hendrix fan. And Dylan's got like 7 guitars. Every time I go to America, I bring him back a guitar. In there, Richie Sambora fan. He's also, we lost the great guitar player, Mr. Van Halen, so he was into that as well. Let me see. Any more questions? So yeah, the Anthony, the UV I'm running is a amalgam UV, and I got it from Kitsukoi. Chris at Kitsukoi. Give him a call, and you could drill your drum and put it in. Or if you're buying a drum from Kitsu, he can put it in for you. Give him something to do. He could put it in for you, so you could just do plug and play. Tell him I said that Chip said when you buy a drum at Kitsukoi, you get a UV put in for free, installed for free, and you get a free 5-kilo bag of food when you buy a drum. And I'm sure he would sort you out. If he doesn't, then give him licks in that way. Do the koi transport in the winter? No. Well, I mainly got female. I've got one male in there. That male Sankey I bought from Takigawa, and he's the shyest male in the world. So he's not bothered with the girls whatsoever. So no, I've never had a fish spawn in my pond as well. So oh yes, you said you're going to Darren at Absolute Koi. Yeah, Darren would do you that. I mean, Profi drums. I had one of the first Profi drum ever came into the UK. Stainless steel, and it's a fantastic drum, but it's just too small now for what I have in that way. Paul Cohen, do you have any plans to visit? Yes, I'm going to Ken, the koi collection. He's got some koi coming in, so I'm going to film there. I'm going to go up back to Kitsukoi to film as well. I only go where I'm invited. Unfortunately, Rastakoi is not invited to all the dealers. Some don't like the camera being pointed, unannounced. But I think hobbyists likes the camera being pointed and walk around and tell you the truth. So not all dealers like the Rastacam showing up. I don't know. So the next one will be Ken, the cold water collection, and then Kitsukoi. And possibly I'll be down back at Koi Water Barn if they are able to sort me out a date to get down there. And the thing is, going down there, I got to stay in a hotel, so it does cost. I mean, a weekend at the barn, we got to go down, drive down, petrol, fuel, tolls. They're talking about £400 just to create a video. That's the cost of it. So that's why I said we need subscribers, but it might be that Patreon is the way we go, and everybody who wants to watch the videos need to go through Patreon. So it's something to think about in that way. Um, I'm not sure, Anthony, when Japan is open. I watch Japanese news every day, and they're still having lots of problem with coronavirus in that way. So I am not sure. At the moment, you can go to Japan from the UK. You just got to go with a coronavirus test, and then when you land there, you'll be tested again, and you'll be put into quarantine for 10 days or 14 days in a government facility until you're all clear, and then you could go about your business. And I think when you come back to the UK from Japan, you've got to quarantine for 14 days. So if you've got a month to do nothing but quarantine, then you could go to Japan, but you would need about 2 months or a month and 10 days, because it'll take you a month to get there, quarantine, well, 2 weeks, and then start doing your bit and come back. And then when you're back home, you got to stay home, quarantine, stuff like that. So, yeah, Japan doesn't look promising for a guy like me that can't take that much time off. So I've been on this thing for an hour, so that's probably about good. So thank you all for watching, and like I said, please subscribe to the videos, like them, share them, and if you can get us up to 3,000 subscribers, that'll be good. If we can get onto Patreon, that will be another way that you can go and support the channel. But Patreon it's a different format. It's where creators put their videos. So have a look at Patreon, and that way. But thank you all for those of you who like the videos and subscribe and share, and those who watched and asked questions. Thank you very much. So that's all from me. I hope you had a good night. Stay safe, and stay blessed. Keep your mind in the game. Keep praying. Keep doing what you do. All right. God bless. See you.